Hello and welcome back to Midwest Charge. You joined me on January 5th. We are in the state of Florida and we are headed back to Ohio. Right now there is a huge winter storm coming in, just kind of all across the northern U.S. Alright guys, we have made it to the Sprink walkthrough a little earlier. So we got our 28 kilowatts, and that is not shocking. And the battery is like stone cold, but also the battery, just, it is what it is. But we'll see if we can tow it. But we'll figure it out. Session details here. Step one, we are going to remove the handy dandy, extremely long flathead screwdriver. This is the main camera module for the Bolt here. It's very difficult to see. Above these wires, there's a little white tab, and that just fits in the camera right there. And that white clip of the comma pedal, because this is not an adaptive cruise control at the wiring harness. You can see it's a little box. It's got a USB side for flashing and firmware to connect the comma 3 with the rest of my tools. Tool that I have in this vehicle, mainly just like this. Power on the car. Attempt to calibrate. Actually, maybe. Now. Alright, so it's working. It's green. It's functional. Let's go! Hello and welcome back to Midwest Charge. You may be wondering, why hasn't there been an upload in a little while? And, well, this is a story all about how my Tesla plans got turned upside down. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it is, but anyway. So, as you just saw, I added a quick summary of just kind of the video footage I took of what happened. But basically, I was going to the Heber Heights, Ohio, and then the Springfield, Ohio IONNA Rechargery, and I was going to try to visit the Cleveland, Ohio IONNA Rechargery all in one day. And that did not happen, because partway from the Heber Heights Rechargery to the Springfield Rechargery, the heat pump on my car died. And so the windshield started to fog. I wasn't really able to drive much after I got to Springfield, and there was no heat. The battery wouldn't warm up, so it was really lackluster performance, like 20, 25 kilowatt charging, which is kind of lame. And I really wanted to showcase much faster charging, you know, maxing out a Tesla on an IONNA station. What we did is I ended up having the vehicle towed to my local service center. Shout out to those guys. They are awesome. They had my car done in like, I don't know, 24 hours from when they reopened. It happened on a Saturday. My service center is closed on weekends. I'm pretty sure they all are. So on Monday, I got a loaner vehicle from Tesla, and I was like, fantastic, I'll take this loaner vehicle, and I'll go hit all the IONNA stations that I wanted to go to. However, I got a 2019 Tesla Model 3 without the CCS retrofit. So I was limited just to superchargers. I couldn't really access any CCS chargers to cover anything, which for someone just getting their car serviced, probably not an issue. You just supercharge it and you're good. But I had a really specific goal in mind. I couldn't achieve it. So I was brainstorming with a friend of mine, and we were just kind of hanging out, just browsing the internet. So that's how this whole crazy idea was born, to basically take the Tesla at home, which is our other vehicle, a Chevy Bolt, and basically turn it into as close of an approximation of a Tesla as I can get. So we are going to add OpenPilot. Well, we did add OpenPilot, which should give us lane centering and adaptive cruise control, both of which this vehicle was missing. This car didn't have the optional adaptive cruise package. And some level of driving automation beyond that. And then we have the supercharger adapter, because this car is one of, I think, 6 automakers who currently has access to the supercharger network. So I think there's 7 or 8 more coming. Basically, every automaker is going to have access. So we had this idea that, hey, let's just install this self-driving computer and bring the Tesla adapter, and let's go to Cleveland, about 500 miles round trip in a Chevy Bolt with terrible charging in the wintertime in sub-freezing temperatures. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So right now it is about 8:15 in the morning, and our plan is take off, head over to Cleveland, check out the Willoughby, Ohio / Cleveland, Ohio IONNA rechargery, and then turn around and head back. Like I said, it should be about 500 miles. I have no idea how long this is going to take. We're not going to plan it ahead of time. We're just going to kind of send it. And if I had to guess, because I used to have a Chevy Bolt and used to drive across country, I'd say this might take us 10 hours. But we'll see. We'll find out. So yeah, why do this at all? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked, or maybe you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. A lot of people, myself included, get very excited about the automation and the integration of charging and just how seamless the experience of a Tesla is. But you don't need to have a Tesla to have a good EV experience. And we'll find out if this qualifies as a good EV experience or not over the course of the next, like I said, 10 or so hours. But yeah, we're just going to try to LARP as a Tesla using a Chevy, and we'll see how it goes. All right, we have 170 miles indicated on the guessometer. We're at about 100% battery. We are going to keep the heat running this whole time because it is like 32 degrees outside, and that's way too cold. We have punched in the supercharger here. This is our first stop. It's going to be in Ashland, Ohio. It's a supercharger at, I think it was listed as a Sure Stay in PlugShare. I'll put the PlugShare screenshot here, somewhere on the screen. And yeah, so it's about 152 miles. That means we have about an 18-mile buffer according to the guessometer, so we'll see how this goes. The Bolt is not known for its incredible range in the cold, but we're going to give it our best shot. So we are on the highway now. We have 149 miles remaining to go, and our guessometer says 166, but if you want to kind of pull in here, I'll turn up the brightness. The yellow line is actually the real-time guesstimate, whether you're trending downward in mileage or trending upward. And as you can see, we are trending down pretty close to 150 miles, which is about what we have left to go. So we are going to continue at the GPS indicated 65 here on OpenPilot, and hopefully we'll be able to maintain a good buffer. As you can see on here, we've got driver monitoring right there, so the little green crosshairs is it detecting that I am paying attention to the road. Here we've got the 3 levels of following distance. We'll have to play with those as we go. I have no idea how far out any of them are. And then up here is our set speed for what we want the cruise control to do. And this is the speed limit when it has map data. And this is whether it's applying the brakes or accelerator. These lines here give you indications as to whether or not somebody is in the lane and therefore the lane change is unavailable, and how wide the space is so that when I push the turn signal, it'll just get over. This is not a stock version of OpenPilot. This is a fork called FrogPilot. I'll throw a screenshot on the screen here. And it is the second largest fork of OpenPilot. The reason we did not go with stock OpenPilot is A, there were some extra features that I wanted, like always on lane centering, which I believe is a feature that only the Hyundai Kia Group cars have from an actual automaker standard. And the other, there were a few other features, I can't remember exactly, but one of them was I wanted to replicate the AutoPilot experience as much as possible. So we have a Chevy steering wheel up in the top corner, but you'll notice, I'll be quiet here for a moment, that the engagement and disengagement sounds are pretty close to Tesla AutoPilot. So here we go. And there you go. Those are the fun little Tesla noises that we've added on. And yeah, we'll get back to you when there's more to report. All right, it has been just a minute, but we have now ticked down from full bars to 19 out of 20. The Chevy Bolt does not give you exact percentage. It gives you a guesstimate, and it gives you 5% increments for the battery. So we are now below 95% battery. As you can see, our regen limit is almost gone. That's the super thin gray line right there. And we are using insane amounts of power because we're going uphill in rain and it's cold. And 2 hours to go. Now, one downside to not route planning, because this car doesn't have a route planner, we're just using Google Maps with Android Auto, and, whoops, there we go, and just the built-in Chevy Bolt gasometer, is it is not accounting for my future plans with the vehicle. So right now, we are on a 65-mile-an-hour highway, but we are going to be on a 70-mile-an-hour highway in 6 miles. And then the gasometer will drop again. So we may end up having to do the speed limit or a little bit under, probably a little bit under the speed limit when we change from 675 here to 70 east. All right, it's all coming back. The instincts, the memories of driving a Bolt long distance. We're at 132 estimated, just a hair above, with a minimum of 108 miles to go. On the battery, and we've got 110 miles left on the navigation. So we should be pretty good. I think we've matched this up fairly well. Oh, it did not detect the green light, so I'm hitting the accelerator. Will it turn? Will it turn? Nope, it won't. Breakfast of champions right here for sure. All right, we are an indicated 80 miles away with a minimum of 86 miles to make it. We're at a 65 right now, which is why we're going a little bit over. But we should be hitting a 70 mile an hour here on 71 North pretty soon. And then we will probably bump up speeds to 70 or 71 miles an hour. And we'll see you there. install 3D. We're going to go ahead and get the adapter out. So, got one here from A to Z EV. I believe they're Canadian. And this is the Typhoon Pro. So the redesigned one. We've got a CCS side right there, and the NACS Tesla side on here. So we're going to go ahead and close this, open the charge port, put down the DC fast charging flap, and then we will grab the handle from the station here. We're going to go ahead and just plug it in like so. Hear a loud click. And then we'll take this whole thing, and it won't quite reach. All right. I'm going to move the car like 3 inches forward. Okay. So we'll take the adapter, and we will plug it in. All right, next we are going to open up the Tesla app here, and I'm going to go to charge your other EV. We're going to let it think about life for a minute. All right, Ashland, Ohio, that's where we are. We'll hit charge here. Adapter or NACS port required. We are 3D. We'll hit start charging, and you can hear the contactors have clicked, and there's an orange light on the dash there. That means it knows that it's connected, and there we go. The little beep and the green blinking. We are now charging. So I am going to start up the car, and we will pull up the diagnostics real quick. So we'll just, oops, there's the button. All right. Car is on. All right, so here we have Torque Pro. We'll go to real-time information. It'll connect to the OBD2 reader already in the car. We will be able to get all the nerdy details here. All right, everything is loading in. You can see the battery heater is going almost full bore here. It can max out at 2 kilowatts. It's pulling 1.8 kilowatts to heat up the battery. The cabin heat is going, so let me turn that off. Okay. The cabin heat is now off. But we're requesting 150 amps, and we're getting just about 150 amps from the charger here. You can see it's 2 Celsius outside. The cabin AC is not doing anything, of course. This is the battery average temperature. So you can see it's 16C minimum, 21C maximum, 16 average. So it's most of the pack is about 16C, which I believe is just over the threshold we need in order to get a fairly strong session in these cold temperatures. And we are already up to 12.9%. Looks like we plugged in at about 11. There are, I don't even know, like 10 or 12 level 2 chargers off to the right here. We're actually parked in one of them so that we can stay out of the way of the other Teslas that might come by. But this is a 12-stall version 3 supercharger installation. You can see 1, 2, 3 cabinets. Each one controls 4 chargers. And there's good lighting here for the supercharger, good lighting for the level 2 charger. So overall, pretty good site. A little bit frigid, a little bit off the beaten path, but not too far. There's a McDonald's if you were really determined to walk there. But yeah, I really love the mixture of lots of DC and lots of level 2 charging for a hotel site. That is super solid. All right, at about 25%, we began to taper off just a little bit. So now we are not holding straight to that 150 amp limit that the car should be able to maintain until roughly 45-50%. So we are beginning to taper at, I don't know, what is this, like high 30% range. But we're still holding over 45 kilowatts, so it's not the end of the world, but it is worth noting we are a couple of kilowatts short of what we should be. We averaged over the last 50 miles about 2.7 or so miles per kilowatt hour, and yeah, 2.9 over the course of the first leg of the trip. 8% of that was climate control, and 92 was just us driving. All right, after 21 minutes of charging, we have gone from roughly 11% to 40%. That's not a lot, but such is the nature of fast traveling with a Bolt compared to a Model 3. Overall, the trip's been great. We're still rocking at, like I said, I think 46, 47 kilowatts, so we're doing all right. It says we have a minimum of 57 miles of range right now. We need to go 80 to make it to the IONNA station, so we'll probably be here for another 10 or 15 minutes. Shout out News Coolum. You, sir, have incredible patience because it has been a while since I've road tripped a Bolt. I don't know how I would do just regular 400 or 500 mile trips every couple of weeks in this vehicle anymore. Great car, but man, I have been spoiled by the Tesla charging. All right, we are now at 50% indicated. It's also on Torque Pro. I'll put it right there or something. We're at about 50% indicated. We've slowed down to 44 kilowatts. Normally we'd be a couple kilowatts higher than that, but we're doing pretty all right, all things considered. We've got a minimum distance of 70 miles, now up to 71. We've got 80 miles to go, so we're probably going to let it go somewhere to the 55-60% range like I originally guessed. All right, we are charged up enough. I think we're at like 55 or 56%, so we're going to go ahead and unplug. This right here is like a two-stage switch, so we'll press it a little bit, and that should disconnect it, and then we can unplug from the CCS side. And then you got to really mash this button down, and it'll disconnect from the NACS side. Put that back right there. Close this up. Get rolling. All right, so Ethan, what are your initial impressions of the OpenPilot system in the probably 5 minutes that you've been driving right now?
Well, so far it's very smooth. There's not a lot of hiccups. It deals with the rain and weather pretty well. Once you get it rolling, it's not too bad to make adjustments on the fly. It's not a whole lot of drama that happens. Like the Tesla FSD, it's not too worried about other vehicles, which puts somewhat more responsibility on you to pay attention and not blind spot anybody. But yeah, other than that, it's a lot more chill and just. I feel like I have more persuasion and control over it.
Fair enough. What do you think of the supercharging experience we just had? We were just at the Ashland OH Supercharger, and I want to say we were there for 35 minutes.
Yeah, so obviously with the supercharger network, it's a lot more efficient and easy to just like stop, plug in. Obviously you have to go through your Tesla app, but it's a lot easier than playing around with the other non-Tesla infrastructure for sure, especially with a GM vehicle like this.
Fair enough. Have you ever been to an IONNA station?
No, I don't think I have. So this will be a first for me.
Alright guys, we are in Cleveland. We're about 13 minutes away. We've got 29 miles of range indicated remaining, and it's about 37 degrees outside, I believe. So it is snowing, but all of the snow is turning to rain. Alright, as we close in on our destination here, we're about 1.5 miles from the exit. Ethan, what do you think of the OpenPilot, since you've now been driving for about an hour?
It's not too bad. It's pretty easy to work with. had a few small hiccups here and there with it getting a little close to the edge lines, but that's, you know, that's okay. Obviously being able to adjust steering within the lane without it freaking out is really nice. We've been playing around with some of the settings to reduce the human-like response with the throttle in regards to actually switching lanes behind people. That's been kind of an annoyance with it just deciding to slow down until they get far enough ahead. But yeah, once again, obviously being able to override that is pretty awesome.
And quick note for the viewers, this car is not an adaptive cruise enabled Bolt from the factory, and so that's part of the reason that some of the adaptive cruise control is a little wonky, because it's just relying on the Comma 3 here.
Yeah, so overall it's pretty... As you can see, sometimes you do have to take manual control, so, you know, that happens, but other than that, I mean, even with this atrocious weather that we've been having, overall my experience has been pretty good.
We can see the chargers from the exit. We'll be there momentarily. This, like other IONNA stations in Ohio, is hosted at a Sheetz, and I believe, like other stations in Ohio, a Canopy will be there eventually. They just wanted to get the chargers up and running first. So we turned right, took a left, took another left, and we are now at the Sheetz. So we just gotta drive through here, and then we'll pull into one of the CCS stalls. I guess we won't pull into the CCS stalls with the Jeep and F-150. So yeah, I guess we'll pull up maybe to the right of the Lightning here on stall 5. Okay, welcome to the Willoughby, Ohio IONNA station. We've got 5 dispensers, just like the Springfield, Ohio station, and I believe most of the other open IONNA stations are like this. Same, what are they called? Jeez, Alpitronic HYC 400, so they're 400 kilowatts, 200 per post shared. That works even on 400 volt vehicles. But we're going to go ahead and get plugged in here. I am not sure what exactly is happening with all of this. The gas cars have left, but there's a Lightning here. It's not charging, it's just kind of hanging out. No idea what's going on, but we're going to go ahead and get juiced. So we'll pick 5B. Gotta love cable management, so we don't have to drive the car up on the curb. And then come over here to this side. The HYC 400s have, there's some ice on the ground, always have the displays here on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and just present my payment method. So we'll just tap to pay. And then it may be hard to see, but you can see it's pre-authorizing here on the little screen. But there's some rain stuff on it. So while it authorizes, we will just wait. Oh, here we go. Thank you, approved. And then it will either just start because we've already plugged in, or it'll ask us which one we want to do. Awesome. So it's already figured out that one's plugged in. You can see it is 50 cents per kilowatt hour here in Cleveland, plus applicable taxes. Available power 400 kilowatts. I'm going to hit accept. That sounds good to me. So we're going to initialize the charging session, and this should take a few seconds. It's going to be hard to hear over just the general like background environment noise, but there's actually a lot of clicking and different noises you can hear inside the Alpitronic here, and off to the left is some of the power electronics behind a fence, so we can hear clunking from kind of all over the place here. That little beep was the Bolt, and we're now charging. So I'll go to charging detail, and we can see connector 5B, CCS, we're at 338 volts, so we're pretty low in the pack. We're getting 150 amps, which is exactly the maximum that this car wants. And there we go. Rock solid at 51 kilowatts, 11%. All right, we're going to go ahead and head on into the Sheetz. I'm not going to record too much in there because we got to go pick up some food and use the restroom and all that good stuff. But gotta love chargers that are co-located with convenient places to shop and use the restroom at all hours of the day and night. We'll go over here. Active sessions, 5A. I hit the wrong button. Active sessions, it's 5A. No, I definitely hit the right button. Okay. Oh, right, because we're not on 5A, we're on 5B. My bad. Active sessions, 5B. charging detail. And there you go. We started at 11, we're up to 32%, and it is still taking on just about 150 amps. I'll kind of wipe that off to see if you can see it more easily. So we have ramped up from about 50 kilowatts to 54, and it has been, man, I thought for sure there was a timer on here. Here we go. It's been about 15-16 minutes. So we're up to 32%. We need to go to about 55-58%, and then we'll be able to head on back. They have the same sticker that I predicted that we have in Springfield. Charging bay canopy arriving early 2025. Let me tell you, with this rain, it cannot come soon enough. So right here is the power electronics and stuff over on this side. So we've got some transformers and all kinds of good stuff hanging out there. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and run back inside and finish up lunch. Alright, we are back at the Bolt, so we're going to go ahead and check on it. Active sessions, 5B. We're at 51%, getting 50 kilowatts, so this has been just a rockin' charge session here. We have been riding the maximum curve that this car will take. I want to say the battery was at like 23 or 24 degrees Celsius when we plugged in, so we had that perfect amount of heat in the battery to just get an absolutely ripping session here. Yeah, so we've gone 11 to 51% in roughly, it's back here, in roughly half an hour. We are averaging 52.8 kilowatts for this charge session so far, which is honestly really good for a Bolt, whose maximum charging speed is like 54 kilowatts. So we have been just riding that curve. Yeah, we're down to 135 amps, 367 volts, and we're going to go ahead and jump inside real quick to see what the car thinks we can do, because we need about 85 miles. So, all right, it's guessing 73 minimum, so we'll probably let it go for another, probably another 10 minutes or so, and we'll let it creep up to that roughly 85 mile minimum, and then we will take off. All right, we are headed to our next destination, which is Akron, Ohio. There's a really interesting charger we're going to visit. You'll see more of it when we get there. We're about 45 minutes away. We've hit our minimum 85 miles, so I am going to go ahead and unplug us here in a moment. We'll just walk up to the station. Active sessions, 5B, and 61%, 47 kilowatts. We'll just get a good shot here. Just wipe this off. Ugh, my sleeve's going to be all wet and nasty now. So there is our charge curve and all of the fun, nerdy data, along with the charged energy, the time, the cost, all of that good stuff. So we're going to hit stop, confirm, and boom, we are done. So we'll just unplug. Man, these handles are very not difficult to handle, actually, for a CCS cable. Let's roll. All right, note of quick caution. I just spoke to a Nissan Ariya owner here at the IONNA station. He said he plugged in his Ariya first and then tried to pay, and it is actually stuck to his car right now. So he is on the phone with support. They've tried rebooting the station, and it is just, the CCS cable is just locked. I don't know if it's a car problem or charger problem, but Nissan Ariya owners, you might want to make sure that you hit the payment terminal, tell it which one you want to use, and swipe your card first before you plug in so you don't end up in that guy's situation.
How's the experience been so far?
With OpenPilot, it's been surprisingly good. There are pros and cons compared to Tesla's AutoPilot. I'm going to compare it to AutoPilot specifically, not FSD, because this isn't really a full self-driving system. It's very similar to enhanced AutoPilot. It'll do lane centering, adaptive cruise, lane changes. The pros include just a lot more customizability. What we're using here is actually FrogPilot. It's the second largest fork of OpenPilot, which means it's based on OpenPilot, but it's not exactly OpenPilot. So there's a lot of little changes that people wanted to make, so they just made them, and you can load it on this device, and you can use that. In addition, it's a very collaborative system, so I can have OpenPilot engaged, and I can feather the throttle or hold down the throttle, and it won't disengage. It'll just take my input and roll with it. Same thing for what they call the lateral control or the steering. I can have always on lateral, I think is what they call it, where the steering is just always on. Like I said, very similar to the Hyundai Kia Group vehicles. But I can still move the vehicle around in the lane. I want to say Volkswagen's Travel Assist does a similar thing where you can kind of position the car. This one, it has a tendency to want to return to center, but you can move it around and it won't disengage, and it won't yell at you. It'll, just kind of roll with whatever you want to do. And that is really nice. As far as cons go, well, Exhibit A, that. It is an absolute rat's nest of wiring to get working, even on the simpler vehicles. But there are also some other cons, like the model is running on a Snapdragon 845, which I don't remember which smartphone first shipped with that, probably like a Galaxy S6 or S7 or something. I'll put it on screen. But it's a relatively old Snapdragon chip. I believe the upcoming Escalade IQ uses a Snapdragon 845 for the rear seat infotainment and door control. And that is what runs the self-driving or the extra level 2 autonomous features in this vehicle. It's a good system, but it's relatively lean, so it doesn't have the context that something like Tesla's AutoPilot or FSD would have. It is only 2 front-facing cameras, so it can't see down the sides, it can't see down the rear. In some vehicles, it does have access to the rear blind spot cameras or to blind spot monitoring systems, or even to the radars on the vehicle. This car does not have a radar, but some vehicles do. Sometimes it can leverage the ultrasonic sensors to get a map of the world around it. So there's a lot of cool things that can be done with it, but as is the nature with any open source project, if you look at it, it has a goat screaming sound effect whenever the maximum amount of torque has been reached on what it's allowed to turn. if you look at any open source project like Linux or just anything else, you will see that a lot of times they are very, very powerful tools, and they are very good tools, but they can sometimes have a very steep learning curve, or just not be quite as seamless as a fully vertically integrated solution. For example, Tesla's AutoPilot, very well integrated, very confident, right? But user input is not always treated as well as user input on something like OpenPilot. So there are pros and cons. I like both systems. I think the confidence that comes with the lane centering systems of a Tesla is really nice, but as far as OpenPilot goes, I mean, it's an incredible project. It's really impressive for what it is. This car did not have lane centering or adaptive cruise from the factory, and yet here we are, and it has lane centering and adaptive cruise because somebody made a little, mobile chipset do it. So overall, I'd say I really like it. It's not without its flaws, but it is certainly a massive improvement over not having any level of driver assist at all. Alright, we are looking for some fast chargers here. There are supposed to be 6 of them around, but I don't see any chargers here.
Left over there.
Oh, thank you. There they are. I'm just blind. We'll go through this entrance here. Whoa. And here we are. 6 chargers. We'll see if we can track down the NACS charger, because we're not going to be here very long, so I doubt we'll block anybody. It looks like this one has the NACS cable. So let's go ahead and hop out and see what we can do at this universal EV charger. Okay, you joined me once again with the NACS adapter. It's not required here. They do have, I want to say, like 5 other CCS handles, but I just wanted to give a non-Tesla NACS a try. Seemed like fun. And I've never heard of universal EV chargers before, so we're going to check this out. It looks like, I don't know, who makes these cabinets? It says Charge Core. I've never heard of them, but hey, maybe they're super solid. If you look up above here, at the very top of the station, they have these cable management arms that are very reminiscent of what they do at the IONNA stations, where the Alpitronic chargers have these swing-out metal arms that are very difficult to damage, and so it makes them much easier to maintain for longer periods compared to something like a little, stretchy cable. So we're going to go ahead and grab NACS B here, and we're going to plug it in. It says it's a SinBon, not CinnaBon, but a SinBon cable, and let's see if there's some kind of rating on it. 250 amps maximum, so it'll max out the Bolts, but it wouldn't max out the Tesla or anything. Go ahead and we'll just plug this in first, and then we'll explore the charging stalls a bit more. So we can kind of wrestle this around, and plugged in. Okay, so they have a giant QR code here, scan to start charging. We're going to skip that for now because we're actually using the phone to record. It says CCS1, 180 kilowatts. So I'm going to hit start and see what we can get here. Looks like they're running OCPP. And perhaps the touchscreen doesn't do anything? It's beeping, but it's not doing a whole lot. So let's try just pushing the buttons on the bottom. Nope. Alright, so we scanned the QR code up on the station, and it brought us to Welcome to Universal EV Charging Station. Some super long charge point ID, 48 cents a kilowatt hour, which seems to be the name of the game today. IONNA was actually 50 cents in Cleveland, but we've paid 48 cents at Tesla, now 48 cents here, and close to 48 cents at IONNA. So we'll select Connector 2, Continue as Guest, and then we will cut back after I have entered all of the sensitive details I'm not going to share on YouTube. It says, connector not connected, your card is successfully authorized. So we're going to go ahead and go over here. We're going to hit start and frantically press the screen. It says do not remove connector from the vehicle, but it doesn't seem to work. So let's go ahead and plug it back in. See if we can get something going here. But yeah, it says your card is successfully authorized, but it is simply not working. So that is a bit of a disappointment. There are other vehicles charging here, so it looks like the CCS handles probably work, but for some reason or another. I don't know if it's just this stall with both plugs, or if it's just this NACS side here, but we can't get a successful charge. So it is what it is. Such is the nature of, you know, random networks. But we had fun. We learned some things. We found out about universal EV chargers and SinBon cables. All right, that was a disappointment, but you know what's not usually a disappointment? Tesla Superchargers. So we are going back to Ashland, Ohio, and we're going to go ahead and plug in and then continue on. We're headed back to Dayton now, so we'll probably charge in Ashland and then maybe once more in Columbus. But yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. And yeah, -1 for CCS, but +1 for pretend Tesla. Alright, welcome back. We are back in Ashland for the second time today. We are going to be taking a right turn here and then a left turn back to the Wingate, where there is a 12-stall Tesla Supercharger. Because today we are pretending like this is a Tesla. So, you know, we have the self-driving and the Supercharger network. So we visited this on the way up to Cleveland. This was our first stop. And then we went up to IONNA, checked that out, had some lunch. And now this is our stop again, because there are not that many Superchargers on this route between Cleveland and Dayton, Ohio, and even then, there aren't that many that are open to non-Teslas. I think this is the only one between Columbus and Cleveland, and there may be only 2 stations. I think when I checked, there were only 2 stations that were even between Cleveland and Columbus. So we'll go ahead and get plugged in, and then we'll figure out where we're going next and how high we need to charge. All right, just like last time, we're going to go to charge your other EV. We're going to pick Ashland, Ohio, charge here, station 3D, just like last time. And we'll hit 3D, start charging. All right, attach adapter and plug in. So we'll open this door up, pop the CCS flap down, grab the handle, plug it in, and yet again it doesn't reach. So please hold while I move the bolt. Okay, this time I even parked on the hatch lights to try to avoid it, but it's all good. All right, so we'll plug it in. It's recognized. So now we should just need to wait a few seconds. Now it says initializing charging. There was the beep. Should be going, and on the screen in there you should see how many kilowatts we're getting. So it looks like we're getting about 50 kilowatts, which is what we'd expect at, let's find out exactly what charge level we're at. So there we go, 49 kilowatt charging rate, 6%, almost nothing delivered. Yeah, since we were just here like, I don't know, 3 hours ago or something, 4 hours ago, I'm not going to do another site review. It's the site hasn't changed in 4 hours. It's still about 12 superchargers and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 level 2 charging stations. Still a great setup. There's a McDonald's right in front of me. It's, I don't know, probably a quarter mile away if you really wanted to walk, but it's a little icy, so we're just going to hang out in the car. All right, we are going to the PlugShare listing as Digital Home Designs. It's a supercharger in Columbus, Ohio, open to non-Tesla EVs. So we're going to go ahead and charge up here. It's about 70 miles away. So we're going to let it continue charging here until we hit minimum 70 miles, probably somewhere around the 50 to 53% range. And then we'll go ahead and head over there. Doing some quick searching, it looks like the next ones are pull-through stalls, so we should have less of an issue trying to get plugged in without blocking other Teslas. That's the reason I keep parking on the far right side, even though it says, you know, designed for disabled access, use last. I'm trying to use it mainly just to stay out of the way of everyone else, because otherwise I'll take up 2 charging spaces to get this car plugged in. So that's what we're doing here, and it looks like we shouldn't have to do that at the next stop. And looking ahead on PlugShare, I think we're going to go from the Columbus Supercharger to the Springfield IONNA station, and that should be our last charging stop of the trip. So we'll have let me think about this. 1, 2, yeah. So I think we'll have 2 unique charging sites we'll have visited, 3 Supercharger stops, and 2 IONNA stations. Sounds good. Oh, there we go. It was just jammed in at a weird angle. So that's part of the problem with having cables that are this short, is it puts this weird stress on the charge port here, and so it kind of pulls to the side, and then it gets hard because you got to slide all of this out, so you got to pull it straight out, but this cable is kind of yanking on it in a different direction at the same time. All right, let's roll out. We made it to Columbus. We are at the 16 stall here. There's a couple of Model Ys charging and a Blazer EV. So we have joined him on this side, and we are plugged into stall 2C. This station was surprisingly inexpensive. It was 40 cents per kilowatt hour for non-Tesla EVs. All right, looks like we are only 50 miles away from the Springfield IONNA charger, so we shouldn't need to add all that much energy. But we're going to go ahead and turn off the heater here so we can get some extra juice into the battery pack. And we'll update you when we are ready to take off. Rather conveniently, there is a Sheetz right by the Supercharger. So we're going to go by there, maybe grab a snack, use the restroom, and get ready to continue on our way. Oh, jeez. All right, Ethan. So 8.5 hours into this drive. How are you feeling?
Honestly, it hasn't felt like 8 hours, and I think that's just due to having, you know, assistance driving, such as throttle and lane centering. That definitely tends to reduce the mental strain and you know, really help with these long distance drives. Obviously, I think that's the hardest part about taking a drive over a couple hours, is just that mental exhaustion, all the calories your brain is burning for every little adjustment that you're making, all the decisions you're making, navigating through traffic. You don't have to worry about that as much. So, of course, like I said earlier, I don't even feel like I drove 8 hours. Well, it just feels like I'm just sitting in a seat watching a car drive.
All right, we are now unplugging from the Columbus Supercharger here. So Ethan's going to go ahead and get us unlatched. As you can see, it just said charge cord disconnected. We got the adapter right there, and we are getting ready to rock and roll. Our efficiency has started to improve a little bit. You can see we're a little over 3 miles per kilowatt hour now, but our total trip average is still a solid 2.9. All right, you join me back at the Springfield, Ohio IONNA station again. Just for kicks and giggles, we pulled into the NACS section. It uses all the same underlying CCS communication, so we're going to make one more use of our CCS to NACS adapter here. We're going to go ahead and open up, and we will actually go ahead and start by card the correct way, because on the screen here it says start on the card reader, then select your connector, then present payment, then plug in vehicle. We did this backwards in Cleveland, and as we saw, there was a Nissan Ariya that also did things a little bit backwards there and ended up in quite the conundrum. So we're going to go ahead and select 1B, and then we will tap our payment card. We'll give it a few minutes to authorize here. All right, it says thank you approved. So we will grab handle 1B, snap the NACS on there, and gotta love long cables. Plug it right in. Okay, you can see it has now turned blue because it recognizes that there's a vehicle plugged in. So if you come over here, you can see it says receipt available after the session. I believe they normally give you a QR code. I'm really bad about getting those, which is why I don't have any in the video. But yeah, we're preparing power delivery. It's initializing just like the Willoughby, Ohio station. You can see while it preps up here that there is a charging bay canopy that should be up sometime in the next few months. So the Bolt has just clicked over, it has started charging. We're at 22% battery. I think we charged up to about 50%, just because the charging curve, it doesn't change a whole lot. It's pretty flat up to 50. So we took advantage of that, charged it up. We're getting a solid 150 amps here, and it has ramped right to 52 kilowatts. So we're gonna go ahead and hop in the car now and see exactly how much power we need to get home. Okay. Charge cord connected. It looks like we've got 40 miles of range, minimum 32, and we need, 32 miles. So I think we'll give it just a little bit of a buffer just to be sure. We'll let it go up to minimum 40 miles. So this is going to be just a real short stop. I don't think it was necessary for us to stop here, but I thought, hey, I mean, the Springfield IONNA is on the way, so why not? All right, we are closing in on the minimum 40 miles. I mean, we came in with like 31, 30 miles, something like that. It's not a whole lot, even for a relatively slow charging vehicle. So this is the sheets. I've introduced it before. We've all been here. There are the CCS chargers there. There's 6 of them, and then the 4 NACS chargers here. So we're gonna go ahead and walk over to the screen, hit active sessions. I have learned it is 1B. And then we will go ahead and check the charging details just for fun. You can see here we are maxing at 53 kilowatts, 356 volts, 150 amps. It's just sitting flat out. I mean, the battery's warm. We're not doing a whole lot of charging. Nothing too shocking there. We've put in a little over 4 kilowatt hours. It's been just under 5 minutes, and it's like just under $2. Now it's just crossed over 2. So we're gonna go ahead and stop, and then we will hit yes, I am sure. It is stopping, and success. 30% finished. There's all the fun session details that I think we just went over. So we're gonna go ahead and unplug. We'll just, let's see if I can do this. There we go, one-handed. It's a little bit of a chore, but I do need to put it down to take off the adapter so I can put this back. Great, we have the adapter separated right there. And we are good to go. So I will see you in a little bit. All right, thanks for watching that road trip and hanging out with us. We learned quite a bit. We covered, let's see here, we covered exactly 471 miles today. And we stopped at 3 Tesla technically 2 different superchargers, but we stopped at superchargers 3 times, and we stopped at IONNA stations twice. So we stopped in Ashland?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we stopped in Ashland, Ohio, and then we stopped in Willoughby, Ohio, and then we stopped in Akron to check out a brand new charger that didn't work quite properly, but that's okay. And then we charged in Ashland again, and then we stopped in Columbus, and then we swung by the Springfield, Ohio IONNA station. So overall, I'd say it was a pretty solid trip. It only took us 10.5 hours, and while the Bolt is not a Tesla and is not a road tripper, having lane centering and adaptive cruise and access to the supercharger network does make it significantly easier. So at the end of the day, if that's all you walked away with, then that's fantastic. Any final thoughts, Ethan?
Yeah, I mean, for being the poor man's Tesla experience, I think it was all right. With this particular version of OpenPilot, obviously the results may vary depending on what your pick is, but overall, I would feel like it's a very good, at least in my experience, gateway into electric vehicles without paying premium prices. So that's my takeaway.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you next week. Goodbye. Alright guys, the car is back. We're going to go ahead with take 2 of charging at the Springfield, Ohio IONNA station. We're at 12% battery. We've been preconditioning most of the way here, so we should be able to see some pretty good speeds. Alright, I went ahead and just tapped my credit card real quick, selected stall 1A, which is this one. We're going to go ahead and let it think here. Oh, no connection. Okay. Well, let's see if that is all stations or just that one. Alright, approved. I am going to go move the car very quickly. Alright. And grab station 2A before it times out. Move the handle, get it plugged in. I hear lots of clicking. Station number 2. Got communication lights going. It says starting to charge in the car. Preparing charging session, initializing, preparing power delivery. Looks like we are going to be getting some juice here. Not sure exactly what was going on with the internet connection on station 1, but that's alright. We'll just use station 2 here. Wasn't going to use this one first because it's actually like a little handicapped accessible stall here. This part's snowed in, but that's like a handicap accessible space, but that's the space that works best for us right now. So we'll just go ahead and check this out. Connector 2A, 13%, 175 kilowatts already. Like I said, we preconditioned most of the way here, so we should see some pretty decent speeds. I'm hoping to crack at least 200 kilowatts. If not any faster. When I did the math, if this can put out 600 amps, I believe we should be able to hit close to 220 kilowatts. But I suppose we'll see, because it looks like it is wanting to ramp up. There we go. We've just crossed 220, and now it says 212. Okay. Oh, 225. Sweet. All right, so we are doing 226 kilowatts, and I'm sure it will start ramping down very quickly now, but that is awesome. Our absolute peak speed on a V3 supercharger, or really just any V3 or newer supercharger, is 250 kilowatts. So being able to hit and kind of sort of maintain 225, 220 kilowatts here on a non-Tesla charger is awesome. That means that this car's charging session should be not quite identical to a supercharger, but I mean darn near close. You can see we have already passed the peak, and we are just starting to ramp down just like we would at a supercharger at this point. If we were preconditioned a little bit more, we'd probably be doing slightly higher speeds here, but we're already at 18% doing 208 kilowatts. That is quite solid for this vehicle. I'm gonna need to get myself probably the what do they call that thing, the sexy buttons from Enhanced Auto, so I could do manual preconditioning. I had to tell the navigation that I was preconditioning way over in Columbus, so I think I lost the preconditioning about 10-20 miles out since it couldn't quite reach there, but that's all right. This is exciting. We're charging very fast, like the fastest I've ever seen on a non-Tesla charger. So huge props to IONNA. They're just rolling out really quick, and I hope they continue this absolute breakneck pace that they're going at. And hopefully we'll see a Canopy here soon. I want to say, yes, Charging bay canopy arriving early 2025. Heck yeah. So we're going to have good, reliable stations, lots of plugs at every location, canopies over most of them. This is shaping up to look like a really, really good charge network. I really look forward to stopping at more and more IONNA stations on my travels as they build out greater density. So I think what happened there earlier, where it said 225, 215, 212, 225, and it was just kind of going a little all over the place here with this peak, it looks like the charging graph that you can pull up here under charging detail, I think it's just scaling with time, and as the session gets longer, it's just kind of compressing and smoothing out some of the peaks and dips in the charging curve there, and that's why the numbers kind of change just a little bit, but the general idea stays the same. Alright guys, this has been a pretty monstrous charging session for a non-Tesla charger on this car. But we are going to go ahead and unplug because I have more than enough power for what I need to do for the rest of this evening. And we have gone from 12 to 30% in... where is the timer? I thought there was a timer on here. Oh, here we go. In just about 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So we'll go ahead and hit the stop button. Are you sure you want to stop charging? Yes. Just heard it click off, so we'll unplug, put the cable back where it belongs. Just ticked up to 31%. The total cost was $8.18. It was 48 cents per kilowatt hour. And because we charged very low and didn't go all that high in the pack, we have this crazy average charge speed of 185 kilowatts here. Added 17 kilowatt hours. What can I say? It was a great charging session. It was easy to start. Just tap your credit card. Man, if only every charging stop was this uneventful.